Okay.
All right. So welcome back, Paul. It's been 7 days since our last video, but for those that are paying close attention, you notice that the background hasn't changed. So for us, we're doing these videos back to back, but for you see these every 7 days apart. But
we've been up with you for a while, over 30 plus episodes, and thank you for watching and listening to us. And those who have stuck with us, and those who are just joining, my name is Paul, and I'm a therapist, psychotherapist, and my friend Bob, he's a meteorologist, English.
I'm a meteorologist by so my scientific area of expertise is meteorology. That's my undergrad degree, but I have a PhD in science education, and so I have two areas of expertise: meteorology and science education.
Yeah. So thanks, Bobby. So what we do here is we're having an African and a Western person.
Yeah. And I'm currently living in Uganda with my wife. I retired from my job last year, about a year and a half ago.
So we're having these discussions back and forth about topics that we feel like, okay, we want to have a say on what is going on around the globe.
We're here to talk more about some of the comments that we have been receiving from the videos that we've done recently. So we've done videos related to toxic politics. We had cancel culture. We had one on, what was it, patriotism?
Yeah, patriotism.
Yep, and then we talked about some of the stereotypes and the narratives, false narratives that are told oftentimes about Uganda. And we've been getting a lot of comments from people. Well, maybe not a lot of comments, but we've been getting some comments.
Consistent people.
Consistent people.
Comments,
yeah. Going back to our toxic politics videos, and actually it wasn't just the toxic politics videos, but in the cancel culture videos, we talked quite a bit about Donald Trump. Actually, we talked about counter-establishment kind of people like Donald Trump, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and we had talked quite a bit about Elon Musk and so forth, and a lot of the people who are challenging kind of the mainstream narratives. But we did talk a lot about Donald Trump. We did get a comment from somebody saying, so your take is that people are voting for Trump because he's not part of the establishment and because he's challenging the norms. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily quite what we said or what I said. I don't think that people are necessarily voting for Trump because he's challenging the norms. I think what's happening is that there's already a counter-establishment narrative out there. There are people who are disillusioned with, in America, just, kind of, I'm coming from the American perspective, of course. So in America, the reason that there's so much support for Trump is because there's so much disillusionment with the mainstream political system, with the Republicans and the Democrats. And you can look at the fact that both the Republicans and the Democrats, the mainstream, the establishment, Republicans and Democrats, both support the war narrative. So on things that are really important, they're all kind of the same. And I think what's happening is there are people who are sick of all of that. And what Donald Trump has done is he's appealed to the counter-establishment voice. So
from my take on this is that politics altogether, or maybe American politics in particular, it's now an emotional thing. People are they're less of facts and more of emotion or emotional attachment, or more of conspiracy theories. We can say people don't want to really know the facts. All I know, Trump is a felon. All I know, Kamala Harris is woke. So the bigger population, that's all they care about. And that's still, to me, it feeds into our earlier discussion in the last topic where we say that, these people have been able to sell to sell to us things that don't matter, and they get us focusing on things that don't matter, to the point that those are the things that we look out for to even vote for someone. You understand? So we are only looking at, does he respect women, so I'll vote for him. Does she respect blacks, so I'll vote for her. Nothing else, like we don't really care, okay, what's a policy, or what's a fiscal policy like, or how is she going to approach international relations. No one really, the average person doesn't look at all those things, yet they are the bigger thing, the bigger picture for someone representing being a head of state. That's the bigger picture. But then we are looking at things that are slightly, well, they are consequential, but it's slightly inconsequential, they don't really matter as much. Recently I was talking to a lady. She was very emotional, so I asked her I asked for her opinion about work things. So she was like, yeah, but just like what you said, why do they have to force us? For me, when I'm born, no one tells me that I have to crush on a man. I'm talking for a lady, quote unquote. She was saying no one told her to crush on a man. It just happened naturally. No one had to remind her, okay, actually you have to crush on a man, and vice versa. No one forced me to crush on women. Like, it just happened naturally, and they didn't have to preach it all the time and tell me, okay, people have to accept it when you crush on a woman. Like, it's normal. That is more of what the norm should look like.
Now, of course, the people that would have those tendencies would say that they're not choosing to have those tendencies, and they can't necessarily explain why they have those tendencies.
No, for example, if children below 3 years, it's normal for them to bedwet. So if I'm bedwetting as a 45-year-old and I'm bedwetting, and I'm not sick, like I'm not having issues with I'm just bedwetting, am I supposed to force people to take me as a normal person? No, I'm not.
No.
So I'll have to
you might
accept it.
have a real issue, though.
Exactly.
That you might have some sort of mental
So what will
disorder.
happen? What will happen is that people will advise me, okay, they may not ostracize me 100% per se, but it's not normal for a 45-year, 35-year-old man to keep bedwetting, or soiling your bed. It's abnormal. Am I a bad person because I'm soiling? No. I'm a normal person who soils his bed, which is not normal. You understand? So I need help, and the help is there, I might go to a therapist who could explain and support me. If they can't, I'll probably go to a physician, and they'll guide me on how to deal with this.
Right.
I get medication for it, and maybe I'll beat it and get back to the norm, But it's kind of unfair for me to force my wife to accept me 100%. Like, it's okay. It's okay for me to bedwet. How come our daughter who is 4 years old is bedwetting and you're not? Come on, I'm making my wife uncomfortable when I soil the bed. She won't want to sleep with me because it's not normal. Something like that. But I'm normal. I'm a normal human being who is experiencing an abnormal phenomenon, which I can be supported on.
Right.
Okay. So if a normal person is having feelings in an unnatural way.
Say, for example, a man who has feelings that they feel like they're a woman.
Yeah. If I'm a man and I feel like I'm a woman, there's something called gender dysmorphism. It's okay. Okay. It's okay, and maybe it's natural for me to feel that way, but then it's not per se a natural thing for the human race.
Right. But we don't. What the problem comes in is when there are those who try to say that I have to affirm that a man who feels like a woman is a woman, and if I don't say that person is a woman, that I'm suddenly transphobic or I'm bigoted or hateful, when I'm looking at reality. That person is not a woman. That person is a man. Maybe they feel like a woman, but feeling like a woman doesn't mean you are a woman. And it's not right to try to impose and force others to embrace something that is not reality.
And then you even start threatening them. If you don't believe in it, it's okay, you are transphobic, okay, we're going to cancel you, etc. Man, this is funny, Like, one of our most initial episodes, I said, okay, right now I feel like I'm the president of America.
Does that mean you are the president?
Does that make me the president of America? No, I'm not. I'm just one average Ugandan citizen who will never be the president of America. I cannot be the president of America. First of all, I'm a Ugandan.
The interesting thing is sometimes you will ask these woke people who say that a woman is anyone who identifies as a woman. When you ask them, well, I'm white, but if I identify as black, does that make me black? And they'll say no. And then when you ask them what's the difference, they'll say, well, because gender and race are not the same thing. But they won't answer the question about why self-identity applies to gender, but not to race. And it's that inconsistency that they never address.
it's interesting that people who say that gender is not a real thing, it's just a made-up thing, all of a sudden they want a president who is a woman. So they want a woman president, but then it's not a real thing, you know. A woman is what you feel you are. So what if just Joe Biden wakes up one morning and calls himself a woman?
Right.
Suddenly we shall have a woman president.
So we'll have a woman president, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So they're selling us things that don't make sense.
Right.
Even to them, they don't make sense, and they know that these things don't make sense
because they can't defend them. And the moment you challenge them, they run. They can't handle
they
the
run
challenge.
or they.
But that's why they have to attack you.
They throw a tantrum.
They can't handle a real argument.
So these things are not real. It's just a distraction. They're just trying to get you occupied with things that don't matter, so you don't see the things that matter coming.
Yeah.
Did you respond to that question, Dr.
Yeah, I think we kind of responded to it, but we got kind of off track. To kind of bring us back around, I think there are a lot of people in America who are disillusioned with a lot of these establishment narratives, and they're just simply willing to support somebody who's willing to challenge some of those narratives. And I think sometimes the problem in America is you have this two-party system, and I kind of look at it as you really have a one-party system, which is why people are so disillusioned with the establishment. Because there's really not that much difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. The mainstream people on both sides, for example, will always support the American war narrative, for example. And they're always going to support establishment positions, and they're always going to protect their own interests. And so you have counter-establishment people that are coming along, like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and Donald Trump, who are actually listening to the ordinary people. You know, whereas the establishment politicians just lie to the ordinary people. When they get to office, they break all their promises. They really don't do anything for the average person. All they do is protect their own interests.
Yeah, so I want to talk about, briefly, how we can fix it in. The Iran, or you call it Iran, it's Iran for us. Iran and Israel and the Middle East, it's a lot.
Well, let's do that. Well, you can introduce that, because we could save these for later.
I want us to talk about war, you know.
War. We had war before. Now
we had a topic about war some time back, American war narrative, machine. But now this time, something is happening in the Middle East. And it wouldn't. I think it wouldn't sit well with both of us to not say nothing about it. So, we want to know what you think. You can always comment in the comment section and say something about what you think. You don't have to agree with us. You just have your own opinion, and
we welcome all views on the show. You don't have to agree with us.
Yeah. So was it that today is Thursday? Okay, we shall lose dates. So, but today's October 5th. Today's October 5th.
Saturday, October 5th.
So
we're recording this on October 5th.
Yeah. So we're recording this on October 5th, which is a Saturday. But sometime back, was it on Tuesday this particular week? That would make it like 1st October. Something happened where Iran sent missiles to Israel. And it was raining everywhere, and social media was all over, was on fire. The establishment people, or like the BBC, CNN, they're telling us, the missiles are not hitting anywhere, the dome is protecting etc. But then other people on the ground are showing us bombs hitting the targets, So depending on whose narrative you followed, you believe. One narrative, the missiles were a failure. On another person's narrative, they actually hit. Especially if they were apparently they were targeting the military units of Israel. What do you think about this? Because it came in the wake of Israel taking out Hezbollah leaders and etc. What do you think?
Oh, this is actually very difficult. I mean, I don't know and when you ask me what do I think, are you asking me in terms of what do I think of the Middle East crisis in general, or what do I think of?
For starters,
what do I think of the narratives?
What would be your rational thought about this?
This is kind of a difficult issue for me because I don't have the answer to.
I know.
I want the answer to it because I see the whole discussion revolving around these polar extremes, where either, you either free Palestine or you stand by the state of Israel as if there's nothing in between. Because if you stand with Israel, what are you going to do about the Palestinians? And if it's free Palestine, what are you going to do about...
Can't we stand for peace?
Can we stand for peace? And how is peace attainable?
Why isn't it attainable? Why is it it?
Well, because of the fact that the human race has been around for thousands of years and we've never been able to obtain peace.
Okay, that's a very political answer. Anyhow, so when I look at Israel and Palestine, all sorts of narratives.
All sorts of narratives.
Some are religious narratives, then there could be social narratives as well, where you see people saying, okay, how the Palestinian child is raised, they are raised to believe that your enemy is the Israelite. As well, the Israel child is raised to believe that, okay, the Palestinian is your enemy. Now, that's a very deeply entrenched hatred that is groomed from day one someone is born. So fighting that, you could fight it in the same way as you began. Because right now, we might be reasoning with the adults, but even the children, they're being told the same thing. You see your uncle died last year. Do you know who killed him? A Palestinian. You know who killed your mother? It was a Palestinian. And the reverse. Do you know who killed your father in Gaza? It was an Israelite. They grow up to hate each other.
Yes.
So I think the same way, the same tactic they have used to create this hate could essentially be the same tactic they used to actually end this hate. They're investing so much money on, let's say, empowering the woman and telling her to go work. When the woman wasn't working, it didn't cause war in the world. But now, this is something that actually matters more because people are dying. So people are actually dying on mass scale. Since October 7th last year, people are dying. And why can't they invest such efforts in such monies in that? Because the money they've invested, let's say in Ukraine, they've spent over $240 billion just trying to fuel the war.
Yeah.
How about you invest to actually find a way to actually
how do you use money to do that though?
So for example,
we are putting money into Israel, but I think in terms of military.
Exactly.
Militarily.
So how do you do it? So for example, I'm not at that strategic level, but this is my take, and my take would still be naive given I'm not up there and I'm not as exposed.
Yeah.
But the same way, because now we have in Uganda we have refugees, and some are coming from Southern Sudan. Southern Sudan has two dominant tribes. There's one Nuer and there's one called the Dinkas. The Dinkas actually probably the tallest race in the world. They're very tall blacks. So, but even Nuers are relatively tall. So these tribes hate each other traditionally. Just quite similar to Palestine and Israel. To the point that if one young boy from this tribe comes and marries or is trying to court a girl from the other side, they will have a village fight, and usually those fights are stopped by the police, and usually they only end when the other side has lost people, like there's death. But the reason they're fighting is, why did that person from that tribe come and try to court someone from our tribe? As simple as that. And they fight to the death. You call your family, I call my family, we fight. Whoever wins, like it's so barbaric. It's easy to call it barbaric because it's Africa, but then it's quite similar.
But when it happens in quote unquote developed countries,
exactly, it's
why
not
isn't it barbaric?
Yeah, because now when you look at it like Israel and Palestine, to me, in simple terms, it's a barbaric. It goes back apparently because 3,000 years ago our great grandparents, this happened. To me, that doesn't make much sense. It's still barbaric, similar to what is happening in Southern Sudan. But we have Southern Sudanese in Uganda, and because our president has tried to bring in those refugees for whatever his reasons are, but he has brought them and they are surviving here, But even in the refugee settlements, these people fight, or they used to, They used to fight and kill each other, and the police would come and, until police came, the fight wouldn't stop. They would always fight to the death.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't be one-on-one. It would be one tribe against the other tribe. So you find like 30 people here, 40 people here, and they're fighting to the death.
And some of them probably don't even know why they're fighting.
They don't know. All they know is that we hate that tribe, this tribe hates this tribe, period, and they fight.
But if you ask them, why do you hate that tribe, they can't answer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All they know that tribe is bad, this tribe is bad, period. And I think this is a similar thing between Palestine and, of course there are contemporary other reasons which have come in.
Because of the things like the Israelis would say, but look at Hamas and the terrorists. But the Palestinians would say, but you blew up our hospital. You dropped a bomb on our hospital.
Exactly.
And so they're pointing to the things that are doing to each other, but they're each justifying what they're doing to each other by saying, but we have no choice because we're defending ourselves.
Exactly. So
the cycle never stops.
To me, this is barbaric because there is no tangible reason why they're actually fighting. Because they may say these people are occupying our land, these people are occupying our land. No, if I thought it was a land issue, it would have been resolved. I think it's beyond occupation. And the CNN may never put it out there, but if you're watching Al Jazeera, their headline is always genocide in Gaza.
Yeah.
To me, it's a genocide per se. It has genocide, intonations to it because we're just trying to kill people from that race.
Right.
Trying to kill
and I think
people
on the
from
other
that
side,
race.
the Jews may argue, but they want to kill us. They want to exterminate us, and look what's happened to us in the past with things like the Holocaust. And they'll point to that if you ask them.
Yes,
So
okay. No, you call them.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's where we can wrap this
Yeah, sure.
discussion up. So good discussions we're having here, Paul. Yes, we'll see everybody in another 7 days.
Okay. Oh, they'll get to see us in 7 days.
They'll get to see us in 7 days, yeah. But as you know from you watched this last week, the background's the same. We're filming these back to back. So for those watching this, we'll see you in 7 days.